Now we are. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out to tonight's ANC 34G regular meeting. My name is Lisa Gore. I'm the commission chair. Call the meeting to order at 7:05. I'm gonna have to throw this on this side. And before we get started, I want to thank Luis Chica. Many people might not know him, but he's the backbone of the ANC. He's been helping us out on all the tech and meetings and hard work. And yes, a round of applause. And he has an assistant that is helping him, Linda, who, how are you? She's back there too. Thank you. Oh yeah, come front. Thank you so much, both of you guys, for helping. Luis has been helping us out for a while, and I'm really glad that he's sticking on for 2025 because we desperately need the help. So with that, we'll go on into announcement of meeting procedures and adoption of the agenda. If people in the audience want to make a point to the commission, we ask that you approach the mic. Definitely use the microphone because we have a virtual hybrid meeting going on tonight, and the folks online cannot hear you unless you're at the mic. For the people that are online, if you would like to make a comment on the agenda item, you can use the react function, which is at the bottom middle of your screen, and use the raise your hand, and that will highlight you to the chair, and then I'll recognize you from that point. We also ask all of our participants to be kind and be respectful, and to respect each other's views, and when people are speaking, definitely not to interrupt. We have a packed agenda tonight, so I'm going to keep comments to a minute from the community and 2 minutes to the commission. I have a timer. We're working on timer, so I will set this for folks that are at the mic and for the commission so that we can keep track of our time. And with that, commissioners, are there any changes to the agenda? Peter, Commissioner Gosselin.
I'd just like to tell my fellow commissioners that under the item that Corinthia Simmons and I will be handling tonight about the Civic Core, I will be talking about new community engagement software that I hope I can convince the new commissioners to vote for, as the previous commission did, that will help us in handling the back and forth with the community as we go forward with the community center project.
Any changes to the agenda? Did you want to add your Berman discussion at the end?
Yeah, in the commissioner comments section, I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about a conversation that I had with Councilmember Fruman, and to reflect on some of the circumstances, sort of defining where we are right now with the zoning commission hearing coming up on Thursday. So I would propose to add that.
Okay. All right, Commissioner, seeing no other changes to the agenda, I move that we adopt the agenda as amended. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 7-0. Thank you. And we have one item on the consent agenda. It's a reimbursement to former Commissioner Zachary Ferguson for payments to Luis Chica. Hopefully, commissioners, you all looked at that information and the documentation that the Treasurer Commissioner Simmons provided. I move that we adopt the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 7-0. Thank you. And adoption of meeting minutes, Commissioner Nagy.
Second.
All those in favor, commissioners, raise your hand. Okay, and that is for December 9th and January 13th. All right. At this point in the agenda, we do a residents forum with our community. If there's anyone in the audience or online that has an issue that they would like to raise to the ANC, Community members, you can approach the mic, and I see there's one hand raised online, so I'll go to you first, Ron Khan.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Good, miracle. Okay, thank you. I want to clearly and with some conviction have ANC support a zoning case 2325 as a contested case. Striking a note for representative government does not dictate a commissioner's position, only to promote the view that representative government in matters of community importance should never be taken lightly and not for granted, never, ever. Thank you very much.
Ron, can you give me the case number again?
2325.
Okay, thank you.
That's the one.
Any other community comments? Lee?
Yeah, the last meeting I raised this with At the last meeting, I raised it with Lisa, and I raised it with Bruce Sherman. I would strongly suggest that you look at possibly using the Presbyterian Hall, and you can do both online and in person, and people who are in person can actually understand what's going on. I said it before, I'll say it again.
Thank you. Any other community comments? Okay, seeing none online or in the audience, we'll move on to the next phase of our agenda, which is a presentation and discussion on DC Water's Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Project. So for this portion of the agenda, I'm turning it over to Commissioners Gosselin, Nagy, and Simmons.
Liz, do you want to lead on this one?
Sure, thank you. Do you guys want to come up and do your presentation? We have handouts. If you didn't get a handout, if you came in after they were distributed, just raise your hand. I'll bring you the schedule and, no? Okay, so will you introduce yourselves, please?
Sure. So my name is Emmanuel Briggs. I'm the Director, Community Affairs in DC Water's Office of Marketing Communications. We want to thank ANC 34G for the opportunity to come out and talk to you about our sewer rehabilitation project. We understand there are questions, there are inquiries, and we understand that totally. I've got my team here tonight. This is Joyce Willis. She's our Senior Community Affairs Specialist, who is newly on my team, but she's taken over a lot of the construction communications that we do. So bear with her. This is her first presentation tonight with us, but she'll do great. And I've got other folks with us tonight. I've got Garrett Ganser and Jeremy Blevins with our contractor and Situ Form. Stand up, guys. Jeremy Blevins and Gary Ganser with In Situ Form Technologies, LLC, the contractor. I've got Levine Harry, our project manager, our esteemed project manager, and Jonathan Lucas with our inspector team. So Joyce is going to take us through the project information sheet really quickly, and then we're going to leave it to the team over here to go through the schedule of activities with us, where they're going to be happening, which blocks, and when.
Hello, everyone. Like Emmanuel said, I'm Joyce Willis, Senior Specialist of Community Affairs at DC Water. Can you hear me? Okay. And what I said was I'm Joyce Willis, Senior Specialist of Community Affairs at DC Water. I'm here to pretty much explain the project information sheet for the sewer rehabilitation project that we have currently going on in Chevy Chase. Of course, our proposed scope of work, we have 62,127 linear feet of 6-inch to 42-inch sewer pipe that will be changed or cleaned and lined. We also have approximately 46 manholes along the sewer that will be rehabilitated as well. Our project hours are 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. In the event that we will need to do any night work, of course, we need to get the ANC commissioners' support in doing that. So we will notify you all in due time, well ahead of time in advance, because we will need help with getting that permit. Also, in the event that any water shut off needs to happen, you will be notified within 48 hours. If there is a sewer shut off, we will give you a 7-day notice. Also, in communicating with the commissioners as well, you will know well in advance of that as well. Sorry. Again, as Emmanuel stated, we have our project team here who is able to answer any questions that you may have about ongoing scheduling in the project as well, and I will defer to them.
Thank you very much. Questions?
Thank you. My question is, I can't quite picture what's happening here. Does this involve to rehabilitate? Sorry?
Okay, so we're doing a CIPP lining rehab project. So it's essentially a trenchless repair. This is a trenchless rehab. So we will access the sewer through existing manholes and we invert a liner through the manhole into whatever pipe we're rehabilitating. And then it's essentially a brand new pipe inside of an old pipe. So when we invert it, any services or any houses that are connected to that main that we're rehabbing, their service is going to be blocked for a short period of time. Once the line is in, we cure it. It's cured for this project with hot water. Once it's cured, we take a robot and we do it internally. We reinstate everyone's service connection. But before we get to that, we have to clean everything and inspect the lines. A lot of these lines haven't been seen in probably 5 years at least. So what we do is we go through and we clean and TV everything. During that phase, we'll identify any issues that may need to be brought up. Maybe the pipe's broken since then. Then we'll do an RFI back to DC Water and figure out what kind of repair we go from there. I don't want to get too depth right now. So I'll just kind of go over our, I guess, 2-week look ahead starting from February 3rd. February 3rd. So I kind of have it broken out per day. February 3rd, we're going to start cleaning on the 5800 block of Chevy Chase Parkway and the 3700 block of Oliver Street. On the 4th, we will be between 3500 and 3700 block of Oliver Street and 5700 block of Connecticut Ave and the 3600 block of Patterson Street. And again, this is kind of a tentative schedule too. Again, these lines haven't been seen in a long time, so some things go a little bit quicker than others. Some may go slower than others. So again, please, this is just a tentative schedule. It's basically our best guess of what we think we're going to accomplish each day. February 5th, we're going to be on the 5800 block of Chevy Chase Parkway, the 3700 block of Oliver Street, the 3500 block of Patterson Street, and then the 5800 block of Chevy Chase Parkway. The 6th, we will be on the 3400 block of Oliver Street, the 5800 block of Nevada Ave, and the 3500 block of Northampton Street. February 7th, we will be on the 3900 block of 39th Street, the 5600 block of Western Ave, the 3900 block of McKinley Street, and the 5600 block of Northampton Street. The following week, the Monday, the 10th, we'll be on the 5600 block of 39th Street, the 5600 block of Connecticut Ave, the 38 and 3700 block. Oh, hold up. I went into the 10th or the 11th. So the 10th ends at the 3800 block of McKinley. The 11th, we start on the 3700 block of McKinley, the 3700 block of Northampton, and the 3700 block of Connecticut. On the 12th, we're going to be on the 3700 block of McKinley, the 5600 block of Connecticut. Okay. Yep, that's the end of the 12th. And then the 13th, we will be at the 5600 block of Chevy Chase Parkway, the 5600 block of Nevada Ave, the 3600 block of McKinley Street, and that's where we end up on the 13th. The 14th, which is the Friday of that second week, we'll be on the 5500 block of Nevada Ave, the 5500 block of 42nd Street, the 3900 block of Morrison Street, and the 5500 block of Connecticut Ave.
Could I just interrupt here a second? And just to commissioners, I think we're going to have to find a way to get this out to people. As we've talked, we do not have adequate email lists of these areas. If most of these, I think, are in Commissioner Simmons' district, and I offer to work with you on door knocking. They come right up near my district, but I think door knocking is going to be required because just posting this is not people aren't going to notice. So.
I think I want to interrupt. Joyous and Emmanuel, didn't you guys say you're going to do door tags within 48 hours of the affected blocks?
They can't hear you online if you're not.
No worries. For any interruptions of water services, 48 hours. For any interruptions of sewer services, that's a week's notice. We do have, as part of our outreach, we typically send any communications to, of course, the ANC, the council member and constituent services staff, the MOKers, and then we also, through our customer service, we get the list of properties on the footprint. We give that to our customer service department. They generate email addresses for us. So for any customers in the area that we do have email addresses on file, you can rest assured we're emailing a lot of residents directly as well.
Okay, so outside of us sending this information to constituents, you're going to email residents who have DC Water and they have their email on file. And then for this project as well, it's going to be water cutoff and sewer, so you're going to door tag?
If we do, we'll be given notification. And as part of our outreach, the contractor hand delivers that project sheet door to door to
Okay.
customers on the footprint. So as we have streets coming up, the contractor will be actually going door to door and hand delivering those project information sheets. in
Okay,
the form of door
so
handwritten.
February 3rd, you guys are gonna hand deliver those. So I think they're gonna cover the door knocking for us. They're also gonna email the residents, and I think emailing our constituents as well as asking neighbors to spread the word. I think that'll cover ground. I don't have time to door knock on everybody. I gotta work.
So let me, could I just ask a few questions in regard to this? First, just to set the stage for this, how big a project is this from start to July of 2026? I just say as an addendum, I've been a commissioner coming on 5 years and I've never seen a sign up like the one you just erected, the billboard you just erected on Connecticut Avenue. In dollar terms, how big a project is this?
I'm gonna call Levine up to the project manager for that one. These are also my business cards too. I want to leave these with you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. So let me first declare I have a very thick,
You have to speak into the mic.
accent. So can anyone say where I'm from? I hear someone say Jamaican.
Your accent isn't a problem.
Okay, yeah, so the volume of this project is $23.9 million. And the duration is almost 18 months, but this project gonna spread over an 18 months period. We will be in this area for a temporary period before moving to other locations. So rest assured, we won't be here for 18 months. And you'll be informed accordingly. You must have seen this.
Could I just interrupt again? I'm terribly deaf. Try that dollar amount on me again.
Sorry? Okay, 23.9 million. 23.9. Yeah, 23.9.
So this is also a citywide project. So this is one of 4 locations under the contract. So that talks also.
And we're a strong believer of stakeholder engagement. So we'll be engaging you with information overload. We'll be start worrying when you guys are not getting back to us or to our team, because we need to be, engaged. So we're gonna be ensuring that there's, information overload. Plus, we have a tool here that's, I think, it's out earlier. Have you seen this tool? This is about, construction model, which means as to how we communicate on a daily basis. So this is a tool for all necessary, to be handed out. Whereby these red lines our committee. So
Okay.
please feel free to
will-
contact these communications.
I will post that for people to get to on the ANC website. We need to move to a community question, if you don't mind. A question is any work contemplated for the 3100 block of Tennyson Street? If so, has that been scheduled? Previously reported that the sewer at Tennyson and 31st Place appears to be blocked.
I can't tell you right now if Tennyson is part of our scope. A majority of the Chevy Chase area is. It's not on our 2-week look ahead, so I don't have that on hand right now, but there's a
Can you-
good chance it is.
Can you get back to us and we'll let this gentleman know that?
Yeah,
What the answer is?
if you could write down the address for me, I can take a look.
Right now, the project is Ward 3, so it's not on the Ward 4 side where Tennyson is.
Okay, well,
Okay,
But outside of that, if there are any blocks that are not within the project scope, we also, as part of our operations, outside of our capital improvement work, operations, we're doing water and sewer work every day. So if there are issues with other sewers or storm drains in the city that are clogged or anything, you can always feel free to send those to Joyce and I, and we will connect with the command center and they will create a service work order that would get a crew out there to alleviate it.
what I'll do then is I will send you the address and the name of the constituent who's
That's what we
saying
want.
that the
That's
sewer
what
is
we want.
blocked and you guys can
Yep.
take a look and see what you can do for them,
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
Great.
Sorry. Just like to introduce our inspector. He's very critical to what we'll be doing. Jonathan. Sorry, can I go ahead? So John gonna be the DC Water Inspector on a project on a day-to-day basis. Who will be who will be reporting to me. So if there's any issue, John, based on this, is the go-to person along with the superintendent. So first introduce John. Okay, go ahead, John.
So Jonathan Lucas, I'll be the lead inspector for the project. I'll be the face of DC Water day to day. If there's any issues with any homeowners, please feel free to approach me.
Do you have a card? Do you have,
I
what are
do
your
have a
contacts?
card on me, but I'll be out there day to day operation.
We need your contacts.
Okay. But as I said, the day to day operations on site while working hours are going on. So the other than outside the working hours, then it would be, contacting the emergency center and going through that route. There will occasionally be other inspectors on the job. I won't be the only inspector there, but I will be the lead inspector for the project. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just want to make a note, we're at time for this.
There is a question online, Lisa, you're gonna. There are 2 questions online.
Ron, if you can make your question real short, because we're out of time on this topic.
I'll hit my main question. I don't want to get too graphic, but what does a sewage cutoff, expected or unexpected, entail in terms of the service of a resident?
So you won't have, you can still use your main facilities like your restrooms or whatnot. We just ask that you do not use your major water using equipment such as a dishwasher, your washing machine, or and really taking a shower. Really, you could still use the restroom, still use the sink. We just ask that you don't use that because we block your service for a little bit of time, so we don't want anything that's blocked to back up into your house. That's why we ask.
And Cal, last question.
So this is very quick. Well, 2 things. One is when you went through the schedule on the 11th, you mentioned the 3700 block of Connecticut Avenue, which is not, that's much farther down Connecticut. And you didn't mention the 5700 block of Nevada Avenue. So I'm not sure when that's happening. And the second question is, I remember reading something about having to put put towels around the rim of the toilet or the base of the toilet. And is that part of this project?
Yeah, so that's part of the notification, when we come in and clean the line, the air that is jetted throughout the line will cause some bubbling in your toilet. So just to minimize that, we ask people to kind of close the lid of their toilet. 99% of the time, people don't even know we're there, but there is that 1%. So that's why we say that.
Okay, and about
To be
the
clear, that
700
doesn't include towels, right? I think
I
that was-
honestly don't think
That was
towels.
Cal's question, was towels, and
Yeah.
that's not part of the gig.
I don't, it was, we say that as precautionary, but again, that's in the very rare case that something like that happens.
Okay, Commissioner Gosselin.
And the,
I wanna
wait, and wait, a
follow up
minute,
on- I
and,
wanna follow-
and what about the question about the 5700 block on Nevada Avenue?
Who's talking?
Mentioned.
Cal, that's not on the 2-week out schedule. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be addressed.
But
So this-
you mentioned.
this-
Let me go to Commissioner Gosselin.
Okay,
I just want to follow up on this issue of notification. At some point, one of you said how long the period would be in the case of a sewer notification, how long the period of blockage or potential blockage would be. What is that time? When I receive a flyer on my, a door hanger, how long are you telling me to
So
not
it's-
use?
It's gonna be, so the hours on it is gonna be from the work hours that were allotted on that road. So it should be 9 to 3:30. But
Okay.
again,
So just so we're clear, I got a door hanger on my door and it says on this day between 9 and 3:30, don't flush your toilet, don't take a shower, don't run your washing machine or dishwasher or something. Just so I understand, is that right?
you can use your toilet, you can use your sink. We just ask that you do not use your major water using
Okay,
equipment.
the one thing I want to just bring up is with regard to recently in my area, they did the small diameter replacement of pipes. Over a period of 3 weeks, I received 4 notifications that my water was going to go off. At no time during the 4 periods did it go off, which was a plus in some sense. But I'm concerned that if you notify people and if you don't get to that street or that area, you notify them again. It's because a notification one day and your miss is going to be potentially pretty important to people if they get a backup. So.
Right. And we also include Garrett Ganser's phone number on that as well. On the notifications we send out, we include his phone number. So if you have any questions, you can obviously call him and he can direct you.
I also wanted to speak to that too. So I will apologize for those shuts. I know exactly what you're referring to. In addition to, so there's 2 scheduled times we will shut water to tie in full water main, to tie in new water mains and to transfer service lines to the new main. The other times are test shuts, and those are shorter windows. It could be as short as 15 minutes, could be as long as 4 hours. But during those times, we are assessing the valves along those mains to see which ones are operable. So when it's time to do tie-ins or service transfers, we know which valves are working. And so they will notify for those. And if they get canceled, a lot of times, admittedly, they won't re-notify. And that's something that I'm currently and constantly fighting with our internal operations team to improve on.
Thank you, Commissioners. We're gonna have to wrap it up. Thank you, DC Water. Thank you, Commissioners, Nagy, Simmons, and Gosselin for the presentation and all the staff for coming out. We really do appreciate it. And thanks for the contact information.
Lisa, I
Yes.
just want to add, DC Water has promised to be in touch with us pretty much constantly during this project. There, I see that Emmanuel's nodding his head in the back. So we are very happy about that. We look forward to working closely so that the community can be apprised of what's happening. There's nothing worse than just not knowing what's going on your street. It's just annoying. So we're really glad about that. Look for postings on the website and also on the Chevy Chase listserv and probably Chevy Chase chatter as well. Thanks, everyone.
Before you go, just to confirm, you're gonna email the schedule to us like by tonight or in the morning? Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is a discussion on the district leaf collection and snow removal performance. I'm gonna turn this over to Commissioner Sherman. We have 15 minutes on this topic, everyone.
Great. So we'll try to move through expeditiously. Let me acknowledge that this is your opportunity to talk to Department of Public Works employees, folks who are online. They can hear you. Randy Thorpe is their communications specialist, and Eddie Sanders is part of their solid waste team at Department of Public Works. They're joining us tonight online to talk to us about the program, the leaf collection and the snow removal, and also, again, to hear your views. Randy and Eddie, can you simply acknowledge your participation here? Come on the screen if you don't mind. There you are. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Commissioner Sherman. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Hey, Eddie, how are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for joining us. And also, I want to acknowledge the Ward 3 MOCR, Mayor's representative for Ward 3, Kendall Gibson. Kendall, can you also come on if you're there? Yeah, there you are. Fantastic. Hi, Kendall.
Hi, everybody.
So I just want to acknowledge a couple of things before, as we lean into this. It's been an extraordinary time since the 1st of January with the amount of snow and ice we've had. It's taxed DPW, obviously, in terms of the removal of the snow and ice, but also in the collection of trash and recycling, because a lot of that happens on the streets, but some of it happens in alleys. And it's been very difficult for trucks to get down the alleys because of the snow and ice. Before the snow removal came about, we had, of course, the leaf collection, which was going on since November, late October, all the way through December. And the leaf collection and the snow removal have occasioned lots and lots of citizen comments on the Chevy Chase listserv, Chevy Chase chatter. So we wanted to create an opportunity for the residents to be able to provide feedback, as I noted. So we introduced a survey just last Thursday, a flash survey, all community, all ANC survey, and we have had 403 responses. It's a survey that asks people to rate the snow removal and also the leaf collection, and then it gives them an opportunity to express any comments. More than half of the people who took the survey provided comments, which is pretty extraordinary. I will be releasing on behalf of the commission the results of the survey tomorrow so that everybody can see the actual figures. I'll share my screen here in just a little bit to show you the top line numbers, but you'll be interested in reading the comments because it's very gratifying to see how many people took the time to express their views. Something I will note that we're very keen to do now on the commission is to expand the number of people we hear from. And so tonight we have on the call on Zoom 34 participants, and there are probably 20 people here in the room. So call it 55, but some are guests. So call it 50 constituents. There are 15,000 residents in ANC 34G roughly. So if you think about it here, we have an order of magnitude more people who have responded to the survey than are with us tonight to express their comments. So this is the way in which we intend to solicit more feedback. So before I go to sharing some of those results and opening it up for your comments to DPW, Kendall, I want to thank you on behalf of the ANC for the extraordinary work you've done representing the mayor and helping through the snow removal particularly. I reached out to you, as I know my fellow commissioners did repeatedly, and you were incredibly responsive in helping get DPW, the salt trucks and the plows to places where they had not been. So I just want to acknowledge your work and thank you. And Randy and Eddie, again, I want to thank and recognize you guys for the work that your teams have done. So let me just let you, DPW, Randy or Eddie, take just a couple of minutes and speak from your side about both the leaf collection and the snow removal. Give us your perspective on both of those before we go to our comments here and then the survey results. Randy, Eddie, maybe Randy will start with you, or we can start with Eddie, either way.
I'll start. First, I want to thank you again, Commissioner Sherman, for having us this evening. Again, my name is Randy Thorpe, and I am the Community Relations Specialist for DPW. And with me on the call, I have our Solid Waste Management Associate Administrator, Mr. Eddie Sanders. So just a real quick update. Our leaf collection program did resume today, and we are in our second pass of Section A. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie, but today we resumed Section A's second pass, as Commissioner Sherman stated, due to the snow events that we encountered over the past few weeks. It halted our leaf collection program, but I do want to let you all know, if you haven't already been aware, that it did resume today. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Eddie to discuss more regarding our leaf collection and snow removal process.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eddie Sanders III. I'm Associate Administrator for the Department of Public Works. Far as leaf season did start on October the 28th, and we did start on time, and it was very good because some of the leaves fell on time, which we can't determine each year when the leaves are going to fall. But we try to pray that once we started our first week, we try to get the leaves to fall as much as they can during our first cycle. Our first cycle is we go through, we collect all the leaves as much as we can get throughout the streets of Washington, D.C., and come through the second cycle. Is that when we mop up everything to make it a clean slate. I mean, if you have any questions on leaf collection, I'll be gladly to answer them.
Thanks, Eddie. We're going to have, I'm sure, a number of comments. Is there anything else you'd like to add, though, on the snow removal? Because obviously that's also been a great focus of your work and a lot of comments from the community in the last few weeks.
Yes, snow removal. We can't predict when it's going to snow. We hope that it doesn't snow during our leaf season collection because that hinders us in collecting the leaves. As you can see for this year, when it snowed and when we had freezing rain. For the most part, our employees are out there working all day, every day, and when it's time for it to snow, that puts a hinder in us collecting the leaves due to how many days it snowed, how many inches we get, versus the temperature of the weather when it rains or when it snows, far as that. But for the most part, we try to do our diligence of doing our best in collecting the leaves and removing snow with the same personnel that we have for leaf season.
Great, thank you. Kendall, would you like to offer any reflections on this, since you were somewhat in the catbird seat and we're very mindful, certainly here in Chevy Chase, how the snow removal was going?
Yes, of course. Good evening. As it was stated, my name is Kendall Gibson. I'm the Ward 3 manager in the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. I'm also joined by my liaison tonight, Owen Cox, who's also online. In this role, we wear many hats, and one of them is assisting during weather events. And I'm grateful to be offered the opportunity by the commission to share what your Ward 3 Bokers have been up to in the past couple of weeks. Once plows were finished with an initial ward-wide sweep, my liaison, Owen Cox, and I hopped in our ward truck. We are blessed with a Toyota Tacoma. And we started surveying areas that could need attention by DPW. We first spent the first day driving down every major artery. So think Connecticut, Nebraska, Broad Branch, Wisconsin. We were driving up and down many times to ensure that they were passable. That is our first goal, is to make sure that the major arteries are passable. So that was our first day of snow response. The second day, we were cleared to begin on residential side streets. So we spent a full workday on roads, and we had a live chat. In the chat, we noted which roads needed attention from DPW. We spent a whole workday doing that. After an hour break, we headed back out at 7 p.m. for another 2 hours out, trying to track down basically every side street to make sure that it had an initial hit. We did the same plan with the following snow events, although I think we're all aware that the first snow was the heaviest, so that definitely took the most time to clear out. The commissioners and I have been in contact since before the first flake hit the ground, and we've stayed in contact throughout. I'm really grateful to all of the 3-4G commissioners. They were really on it, letting me know what areas needed attention. I was pretty much immediately alerted to Moreland Place, Unicorn Lane, areas that have been, I don't want to say areas that had been missed in the past. And I really pushed and worked with our teams to make sure that they were addressed after this snow. I've been offering the same level of transparency with commissioners when it comes to trash. So I've been soliciting information about trash that hasn't been picked up yet. That's been a little delayed. We were on a slide schedule for a while because I want us all to keep in mind the events that have happened in the past couple of weeks. We had a historic snowfall, then we had 2 more snowfalls, then we had a presidential funeral, then we had a inauguration. So our DPW team, I believe that they're the hardest working teams in DC. They switch from leaves to snow. They're working all the time, crazy shifts, and I really respect and admire everybody on Team DPW trying to get things done. I acknowledge that some areas may have taken a little bit more time, and I apologize for that, but we have a whole city to cover. And if you have any outstanding areas that need attention from DPW, you can feel free to flag them to me. I'll drop my information in the chat and I'll communicate that with Randy and Eddie. But I want to thank the commissioners for having me. And I also want to thank Team DPW for supporting us through these various snow events. So thank you all.
Great, thank you. And if I can share my screen, I will show everyone the top line results from the survey, just to give you an idea of how the 403 people who've taken it thus far rated both the snow removal and the leaf collection.
Did he make you go?
Do you have to make me co-host, Louise? You told me I had to send a request.
Just while we're on time, just stick to our regular schedule. You want to keep it to 4 minutes or under at this point.
Okay, so I'm going to do this very, very quickly. We asked 2 questions. We asked the residents to rate district snow removal, including treatment for ice in the aftermath of the recent winter storms, so the 2 storms that we had. And we also asked residents to rate the most recent district leaf collection. So the top line results on the survey, and again, we had 403 responses. I will just summarize this for you. 63% of respondents rated the snow removal good or better. So a significant majority of residents felt that the snow removal was good. Now, you'll see the fair bar and the poor bar. I won't go into those details, just the top line at 63% good or better. We took comments, as I noted, and you'll see that 235 of the 403 respondents provided comments about snow removal. So as I said, I'm going to package this up. I'll put it out publicly on the listserv, and we'll send it to all the commissioners to share with their email lists so that you can all read the comments. And DPW, Randy and Eddie, and then Kendall, I'll be sharing this with you as well. So you get all of this information. I think it's going to be very enlightening. The one thing I would say in glossing the comments about snow removal, lots of comments about the amount of salt used, comments about streets that habitually have not gotten addressed. And Kendall, you mentioned that in passing, that some of the streets are overlooked periodically, and we had to make special requests for those. The difficulty in maintaining a presence when we have freezing temperatures, there's a bit of thawing, then there's freezing again, and you have the recurrence of ice. And on a lot of the streets, there was ice that was difficult to treat. Obviously, trucks would have to go back and back. So you'll see those in the comments. Coming down to leaf collection, it's not exactly the opposite, but 68% rated the most recent leaf collection good or worse, poor. So there's room for improvement on the leaf collection. Again, you've got a lot of comments that people have made, 259 people of the 403 took time to provide comments. And in this section, you will see one of the big issues is the timing of the leaf collection. A lot of comments around the notion that the first pass happens when leaves have hardly fallen. And then the second pass doesn't happen for a very long time, so the leaves accumulate. And then you bump up against the problem of having the first snowfall, and the snow then impedes the leaf collection. So you'll see this in the written comments, but I just wanted to give everyone the kind of the top line results here. And again, thank all of the residents of Chevy Chase who took this. It is the case that we asked people to identify what single member district they lived in, or if they didn't even live in our ANC, only 9 of the respondents did not live in the ANC. So this is overwhelmingly Chevy Chase residents in our ANC who responded to the survey. So with that, I'd like to go to any commissioners quickly who have comments, and then to some people online and anybody here in the room. Commissioner.
Hi, I just have a quick
Hennessy.
question. It seemed like the leaf collection was set to be sort of in stages that were pretty similar from ward to ward, but my anecdotal observation is that this ANC along with Ward 3 has a lot more tree canopy than some other parts. And so I'm wondering if we have a disproportionately greater need for leaf collection, and why then we might need to have like an extra pass, because I think we have a very good tree canopy here, perhaps more than some other places.
Thank you. Other commissioners?
I do actually have a comment, in that I went on the website today to look at leaf collection, and I just want to let people know that there is a schedule now posted for leaf collection, and you can input your address and see when they're going to be coming to do a second pass, or if they don't think there is a second pass needed, you can let them know that there is. So I'll post that probably on Chevy Chase listserv to get it out there.
We have been fortunate in ANC 3 in our Chevy Chase because we're in the first round, the first phase of each of the 2 rounds. So whereas lots of parts of the city have not gotten the second collection, significant parts of ANC 3-4G have. There are still some areas that have not, but largely the leaves have been picked up here. Commissioner Simmons.
I would defer my questions. We have 2 online.
Yes, I'll get to those, sure. Anyone else, commissioners? In the room, if you wish to make comments, please step up to the microphone. I'm going to go to people online. Commissioner Gosselin. Were you poised to make a comment?
I just wanted to say that I think that the city needs to enforce the obligation to clear sidewalks. I'm not as worried about residents as I am about the businesses along Connecticut Avenue. I literally went out with my shovel. I mean, as it turned out, that CVS finally got some of the snow and ice cleared. And in that regard, just to DPW, I think you did a marvelous job on the major roads during the snow. I think you did a secondary job on the secondary roads, and then that froze. And that is what caused a lot of the problems. So for what it's worth.
Great, thank you. Let's go online to John Wheeler.
Hi, I just have several comments. One, I'm kind of skeptical about surveys like this, and the reliance upon them. I took this survey and I noticed that it was really anyone could do it. You didn't really have to live in this ANC. And if it was an issue that I really cared about, I could have responded 50 times and totally swayed the results. So I know that this ANC just loves these surveys, and you think that they really reflect the community. I'm pretty skeptical of that. Thank you.
We welcome skepticism. Jamie, I'll go to Jamie, then to Cal, and we'll wrap up with Cal.
Hi, let me get my face on here. Thank you for calling on me. I want to thank the DPW people for doing a good job. And I recognize that some things weren't done as well as previous years, but we got our street cleaned. So I thank you. The question I have, in previous years, they've cleaned our alley. And it wasn't cleaned this year. And I figured for the reasons that Bruce and others, talked about with what was going on this year, it wasn't done. But I called 911 or 311, and they said that your policy is that you do all the main streets, and then if you have time, you go around and do the alleys, so that our trash and recycling is picked up in the alley. So we didn't have pickups for a while. So I'm just wondering how you handle alleys and if what I was told was correct.
Eddie, would you like to take that question, or Randy?
Yes, I'll take that question. Solid waste collection is on another division, but we did assist on helping them with clearing ice out of alleys. Their goal is to, once we hear that it's a snowstorm, they try to pre-treat the alleys before the collection day itself, being as though that the snow fell real heavy on us the first time. Trash collections fell behind in collecting from the alleys due to the ice and snow in the alleys. But they do have personnel with salt trucks that try to get in the alleys before their actual collection day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Cal, and then we'll wrap up with Commissioner Grunwald.
Hi,
Okay,
I'd like to ask you a question while you're still on. Seniors can apply for an exemption from shoveling snow. So are residents expected to just walk around the snow in front of seniors' houses? What kind of service can be provided for seniors who
I
get
can answer
exemptions
that.
from shoveling snow?
I can answer that question. So we have through Serve DC this program called our Snow Team Heroes. Once someone files within this program, which I'm happy to pull up the link and drop it in the chat after this, after a snowfall, that they're assigned a volunteer to come and shovel their walk for them. So an exemption doesn't necessarily mean that the snow will remain on the walk. In fact, it should be removed. It's just that the senior themselves is exempt from removing it. So there's also a program within DPW to apply for an exemption. That's not the same as Serve DC, but I can put the Serve DC link in the chat for people if they would like to apply. And also, I would like to solicit Snow Team Heroes. One thing in Ward 3 is that, and 4, is that we don't have as many volunteers for Snow Team Heroes as we do in other wards, which means it takes longer for our seniors to receive services from our Snow Team Heroes because it's harder to assign a volunteer to them. So if you are willing of body, mind, and spirit, I encourage you to sign up to be a Snow Team Hero so you can help the seniors and the disabled members of our community.
So Kendall, who is responsible for contacting the Snow Team Heroes? Is it the seniors have to contact them by email or phone or?
There's a form online that I can send in the chat, but yes, seniors are responsible for contacting, and there's also a way to apply through 311. So a senior can call 311, request to be put on the Snow Team Hero list.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, and Cal, will conclude with you.
Okay, so quickly, and this might just be something for you to pass along. Serve DC, which I know you're working with somehow. We were told we were going to get we didn't get a volunteer assigned. We signed up 3 days after the big snowstorm. It never happened. We never got any information back. We never got a follow-up. The sidewalks and the walkway never got swept. So I just want to pass that along to whoever's linking up with that program.
Great, thank you. Sure.
Hi, I want to speak up on behalf of pedestrians because the sidewalks were icy for 3 weeks. I slipped over the ice every single day. I was stuck walking on Western Avenue, you name all the major roadways. It seems to me that's pretty unacceptable. The curb cuts were never cleared. And then we've got this very interesting issue of who cleans the bus stops. It seems nobody does. Getting off the bus, you get to step on the ice and hope you don't fall. Then there are those slip lanes that were replaced by parks. And again, because as I understand it from talking to DDOT, because they're not in front of anyone's house, no one seems to have responsibility. So then the bottom line question for me is it really up? The burden is then on the community to get shovels and start shoveling? Because it seems to me, actually, that's what DDOT told me. Maybe they can confirm, but someone from DDOT said to me, well, I guess the community has to rally together and start shoveling the ice. If I had known that, I would have done that 3 weeks ago. I've shoveled plenty of ice in my neighborhood because I really got tired of slipping on the ice. So that's why that survey is really interesting, because I don't think it represents pedestrians or bus riders in any way, shape, or form. And I've also watched a lot of parents trying to use the sidewalks and pushing their strollers and not being able to get their strollers over the ice and slipping over the ice. So that's something else to take into consideration.
Great, thank you. We need to wrap up. I will say in conclusion that as you see the comments, you'll see a lot of comments, Michaela, that reflect what you just mentioned. A lot of comments about neighbors shoveling their own walks and helping other neighbors. A lot of concern about the responsibility that we have in the neighborhood, not just the responsibility DPW has. So you'll see that. I'll be releasing all those results tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again to DPW, and thank you, Kendall.
Okay, so before we move on to the next agenda topic, I will definitely make another call with Kendall to get community members, regardless of what ward you live in, to be a volunteer. I'm actually a volunteer for the snow team. So I've been out there shoveling snow in the ward. And I got a call from one of the mayor staff for me to come out and do a neighbor that lives here in Ward 3. So if I can do it, I'm going to call on all you guys to do it too. We definitely do need that, because we do have seniors on the list, but if we don't have a volunteer to pair them with, they can't get their snow shovel. So with that, I'm going to turn to the next agenda item, which is an update on the RFP disposition meeting, over to Commissioner Simmons and Gosselin. And just to remind you, we're running behind on time. Our next agenda item's supposed to start at 8:06, which is a resolution. So if you guys could give us a concise presentation, we'll
We could
appreciate it.
speed it up after they had like all that time. But anyhow, hi, everyone. We just wanted to give you a quick update on the RFP. I'm very excited for what's to come. DMPED at some point in time is going to give the community notice of the meeting they plan to hold in regards to the library and community center. Hopefully at that time, we will be able to see what RFPs were submitted, what the design plan was, what the design plan was. So hopefully we'll have notification of that at some point in time. Just to get members and community members excited about the RFP and what's to come here on this land, I want to draft a letter to DMPED reminding them of the ANC's resolution in September. So I would like to propose to the ANC for me to draft that letter. I will also send it along to everyone so that you can add in any comments or anything you would like. And the purpose of this letter is just to remind DMPED of our community engagement ANC resolution passed in September. And then I'll pass it over to Peter.
That's great, and I'm happy to help on that letter.
Okay, thanks.
I want to talk a little about.
Excuse me, someone needs to make a motion on that and it needs to be voted.
Oh,
on,
so it's
please.
not a resolution, it's just gonna be a letter
And
to
the
remind them.
action that the commission is taking needs to have a motion and. needs to
Okay,
be
so I
voted
make
on.
a motion that Corinthia Simmons drafts a community engagement letter to DMPED reminding them of the resolution passed on September 23rd, 2024. This letter will also be shared with the rest of the commission to provide input, and I will work with Peter on that. Is there a second?
I second.
Commissioners, any discussion on that? All those in favor, raise your hand. 7-0.
Thanks. So I'll turn it over to Peter to talk about the engagement software.
This commission has had a rough time trying to interact with the community on big issues in a way that's constructive. Part of our problem is that we don't have a good comprehensive email list of our constituents. And part of it is that so what we have done in the absence of that is put together one-off surveys, and in the case of some of us, done a lot of going door to door. We've talked, the previous commission talked about a good deal about getting some sort of community engagement software that would help us with fast surveys, with taking comments from people, and with trying to frame issues. Other nearby ANCs, in particular 3D, actually bit the bullet and bought some of this software service last year. We followed and talked with them about their experience, and they are net positive on it. They're not net positive on the company they hired, something called District Engage. And they have tried very hard to get the city to agree to the contract that another service called Go Vocal is willing to provide. The previous commission discussed this and actually approved money, $2,000 for a service, but given this sort of juggling, our inability to hire the people we wanted to hire, and the problems that 3D saw with the service they got, we simply didn't put a name to the service. Well, now the city has approved a contract with Go Vocal. I've sent around a draft of it to you. I have run it by Denise Whitcore, the counsel for the office that oversees ANCs, and she has said, yes, this passes legal muster. And I would like this commission to approve the contract, that we sign the contract for 1 year, and that we go in with 3 other ANCs, whose name I can remind you of, to take this service. One of the ways in which this company is going to save money is they're going to do a training for all of the ANCs who sign on. 2 of the 4 have already signed the contract and approved the money. I hope we can do so tonight, and I'm happy to put a motion on the floor to that effect. I'm also happy to answer questions. All right. Yes. Well, let me just put a motion on the floor. I move that ANC 34G approve the contract that is posted on the website and that I've distributed to commissioners, and vote to expend $2,000 towards a subscription. The agreement to pay the money should be contingent on all of the 4 commissions that have signed on, so that the price stays low, also approving it. So, I so move.
Has anyone seen this software in action? Peter?
Has anybody seen Go Vocals? Yes. We're relying here on Commissioner Tricia Duncan and Chuck Elkins of 3D, who have had a presentation of the Go Vocal service and have had a year of experience with the alternative service. One of the problems with the alternative service is it's an Australian company, and so getting service support it's essentially completely off kilter in terms of time. And one of the advantages of Go Vocal is that they have a US team. So.
Discussion, commissioners?
No big discussion, other just a comment, which is standing up the side. I'm totally in favor of it. At the same time, it's the outreach to get people to participate. And as we just witnessed in this particular survey, I posted numerous times to the listserv Chevy Chase chatter. And as much as we might assume that there are widespread readerships that are using these services, it is direct emailing to our own list that generates response. If you rely on the listserv or Chevy Chase chatter, you'll come up short in terms of getting the scale that we're looking for. So that gets back to the question of how to get emails. No need to take up time with that tonight, but I'm perfectly happy to help everybody. I've been talking to Carol, and she's been doing a great job in getting emails quickly. There's a way of doing it that can ratchet up our ability to directly appeal to people.
I just added one other thing with regard to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is Commissioner Nafinisi. I just would want to double check on the privacy concerns and make sure to what extent might be giving Go Vocal the control over people's information or whether it stays with us.
You know, I think that issue has been dealt with in the contract, and they do not retain emails or use it for marketing purposes. But it's a completely legitimate question, and I will check that. And we should make our approval of this contract contingent on a firm answer to that question. Can I just say one other thing with regard to the service? One of the ways in which 3D has found it most useful is in taking people's comments and then saying, okay, well, this is a proposal for how we ought to deal with this problem, and then posting that up and getting feedback on that. So there's this kind of iterative process that it isn't just you answer yes or no, I like it, I don't like it, but in fact, they've dealt with a pedestrian death on Foxhall Road, and several people had suggestions that had not occurred to the ANC, and they vetted them with the community so that there's this kind of iterative process that lets us use community wisdom, but we put it up against, some feedback from the community.
Any other commissioner questions? Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. We do, but we got a motion on the floor. So you wanna do community? Because we're about out of time. You want to take a quick question? Okay.
I'll be quick. I haven't seen the software before, and I just wondered, did you take it into account that there are a lot of aging people in this community that are not so tech savvy? Is there a facility? Is it easy to use for people?
The question is it easy to use from the point of view of the
citizens who are going to be
So,
using it as well, right?
I'm reluctant to do this, but I could bring up 3D's site.
It sounds like we don't have time for it. but-
Very
yeah.
user
Okay,
friendly.
that's all I wanted to know.
There's a question about, there's a learning curve for us putting it to use, but you can see on their site, I think we're going to run out of time if I bring it up.
It's
but
okay. I wanted to know that box had been checked because it's easy to look at it from your perspective, but the people who are giving you information need to be able to use it too.
Yeah.
I have a question. Peter, I have a question. What are we doing for people who don't have internet access, so who wouldn't be able to access the survey online?
The question is, what do we do with people who don't use computers? Right? That's one of those deep questions. In 4 years as a commissioner, I've never come up with an answer. I mean, one of the reasons I go door knocking a lot is to deal with that. But I mean, I think if you look at this community, the heavy half of this community uses computers, and
Well,
we would
with respect, there are a lot of people in my SMD who don't have internet access. And I would like to make sure that some provision is made for them to voice their opinion. So
I would suggest, for our constituents who don't have internet access, I think we're elected officials and we should try our best to reach our constituents as best as we can. So if we know those who do not have internet access, I think we should reach out to them and try and get their buy-in. And then the ones who have it, then they can do it. I don't think we're ever going to find a solution that works best for everyone. So I think we need to find a way to meet in the middle on both.
Thank you. That actually had occurred to me. I would like then to propose that we do a paper version of the survey that we can hand out to constituents who don't have internet access as I go knocking on doors.
So let me just remind commissioners, we have a motion on the floor. We are at 8:15. The commission in previous surveys have done paper copies where we've handed those out to constituents. But I would really like for us to take the vote.
Then I'd
so
like
we
to
can move
amend,
the
I'd like to
question.
amend the motion to include a paper copy for constituents who don't have internet access, please.
That's fine. I mean, we can, if we can find a way to do that. You want to add that to the motion, fine. So
So
with
I
that, with
call for the vote. Commissioners, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, 7-0. Thank you, commissioners. All right. Anything else on your update, Commissioner Gosselin and Simmons? Okay. So we will move on to the next agenda item, which is mine discussion and possible vote on WMATA's FY26 proposed budget. I would like Michaela Platzer to come forward from the commission's bus transit working group. And just to kind of set this up, if any commissioner needs a hard copy of the resolution, I have one extra. But just to go through this, I emailed the resolution out several days ago. And I'm just going to go over the resolution itself and the changes that I've made as of today. And let me just thank Bus Transit Working Group, the many of you that called and emailed and sent in the feedback form. I took your considerations at heart and made some adjustments in the proposed resolution. The first one is Commissioner Fennessy. I moved the comment regarding the 40,000 and 11,000 passengers to a standalone article in number 3, bullet 3. I changed the description of Knollwood to a continuous care facility for seniors of all levels of mobility, which is 3A. I referenced that Ingleside, the walk 3 blocks is largely uphill. And there was some concern over in bullet C, the description of 900 students in Lafayette. So I struck the number of students. I changed the clarified on line C85 and line C83 that the C85 rush hour only in terms of the decision to limit service. Included a new paragraph, which was bullet D, that we had a lot of great comments on return to work, referencing the Trump memorandum, return to in-person work, and discussed the challenges that our employees would face given the cuts and having that memorandum issued. Under resolved, 7 adjusted it to mention the for WMATA to adjust its FY26 budget. So connecting the deficiencies to the 26 budget and the implementation of the Better Best redesign. And included a resolve to include the community feedback forms which were submitted. Thank you everybody for submitting these. And in that resolve included a redaction of those forms from any personal identifiable information. I come from the Fed, so I used to handle that a lot in my job. So trust me, they will be redacted thoroughly. And that is pretty much it. So I do encourage the commissioners, and I'm happy to answer any questions, as well as I'm sure members of our bus working group will be as well. I put on the resolution that the commissioners responsible for this resolution would be myself, Commissioner Sherman, and Commissioner Grunwald, because they have Knollwood and Ingleside. And I think that is the right thing for this particular resolution. So with that, Michaela, if you would give like a 2-3 minute update, and then we can hear from the community and commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Gore. I just wanted to say that every day, thousands of residents of Hawthorne, Barnaby Woods, and Chevy Chase use public transit, including Metro buses, to meet their travel needs. As has already been mentioned, my name is Michaela Platzer, and I chair the Bus Transit Working Group. I will use my prerogative as chair to speak for our entire group. Commissioner Gore, all of us greatly appreciate your support and that of former Commissioner James Nash. You and Commissioner Nash engaged with us and listened to our concerns, and we thank you for that. I hope some of the commissioners, especially the new ones, will also take the time to learn more about bus transit and its importance to many of us. Our working group is eager to be a resource for you. Bus transit is an issue that affects our neighbors of all ages, students, working age residents, and our seniors. Regarding the resolution, last year, the bus team focused like a laser on WMATA's so-called Better Bus Plan. We offered comments, we testified, we met with WMATA staff and our council members. The Transportation Committee's year-end report is on the ANC's website, which includes the work of our bus transit team. Good news, our hard work paid off. WMATA heard us and made adjustments to their plan, which will be implemented this summer on June 29th. Some of the positive changes includes reinstatement of bus service to Friendship Heights and some weekend service in Chevy Chase. But to make this truly a better bus plan, as Lisa mentioned, several critical shortcomings need to be addressed, which are listed in the resolution. The resolution asks WMATA to fully consider these deficiencies prior to the full rollout of new service routes this summer. They include changes affecting our seniors at Knollwood and Ingleside, our students, and our workers as they return to in-person office work. The resolution also suggests exploring potential revenue sources to fund more robust bus service for DC residents. Finally, it's important that WMATA hears from us as a community, but also individually. WMATA is holding several public hearings next week, and it's also soliciting comments on service changes via a survey, written comments, or you can upload a document. Details on how to weigh in can be found on WMATA's website. I'm going to end now and ask if others from the bus team would like to speak real briefly. We represent a well-informed group of neighbors who use and care about retaining and, more importantly, expanding bus service in Chevy Chase. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Community comments? Yep, you can approach the mic. You approach the mic.
My apologies, first of all, to Lisa for not being able to make the email. I think everybody got a copy of the email I sent today. Lisa, I think that is a very, very good resolution, so forth, right on. Thank you. The only thing I would say is that though your paper says that Mr. Eisner and Mr. Marcus indicated that you needed a better route to Friendship Heights. I think they're right. You should know that Ingleside, for the staff, will be providing bus service to both Friendship Heights and Fort Totten metro stations. Now, given the fact that Ingleside at Rock Creek is like any other institution, that may or may not happen. Therefore, I would leave your resolution just as it is. The second thing I would suggest for your consideration, I think that the key to all of this is getting dedicated funding for WMATA. It's my understanding that Maryland and the District of Columbia agree, but the state of Virginia does not. I would just suggest for your consideration that you put a line in there which suggests we in Chevy Chase, DC support dedicated funding. And that could be item number 7 under funding, Lisa. That's all I'm suggesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I did take a look at your comments while I was sitting here, and I struggled with drafting that funding message. And I think your suggestion, so I will accept that, commissioners, as a friendly amendment, because the dedicated funding issue is so critical. And district has been pulling its weight. hopefully, you know, we'll have some things work out soon with Virginia. But there is a lot to the funding issue and the, you know, entire vision for WMATA in terms of funding with the surrounding jurisdictions.
It
So I
help-
like the way you phrased that. I'll
It
accept that.
helps to have Chevy Chase DC, which has pizzazz, to say
Yeah.
we believe in dedicated funding.
Yes, and I think the former resolutions we've done have addressed that, maybe not in each one, but we have previously, so for the new commissioners, we have previously said that, for sure. Any other community comments?
I just want to applaud this commission for taking up this critically important issue and making sure that our voices are heard as part of the DC budget process. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep, you're welcome. Thank you. Any other community comments? Online? Jim Nash?
Yeah. Hi, I want to thank the commission for taking this up, as well as the hardworking bus transit group chair, Michaela. This is the kind of thing that I didn't see so much back when I was on the commission, that we get out ahead of these things rather than playing catch up when suddenly all of our service is cut. And it's always cut because they don't have money. So this is great. I hope you all pass it. And I also like Lee's idea of mentioning dedicated funding. Councilmember Fruman told me that Maryland and DC are on board with that. Virginia is not. Next year will be critical when we get a new governor there. Every other major city has dedicated funding for their transit system. The fact that we do not here in DC, because we have these three different jurisdictions, is one reason we're always facing bus cuts. And so this is another way to get out ahead of this issue. So I hope you pass it, and thank you to everyone on board who's working this important issue.
Thank you. And just to piggyback off of that, I attended Councilmember Fruman's Ward 3 budget session over the weekend. And I raised that question to him and, you know, talked to him privately about it. And that's a critical issue right there, the dedicated funding and getting all the jurisdictions on board. So thank you for the reminder on that. That's great. Go to commissioners. Any commissioner comments or questions?
Just a very quick one. I know that I mentioned before that Knollwood has also written to WMATA. And obviously worked very closely with the Knollwood folks, the management and the Knollwoods Resident Association there. Has Ingleside also expressed its views institutionally to WMATA? Has Ingleside, do we know?
I do not represent Ingleside. I don't think they have. I think the closest it came to it was on December 9th when Mr. Marcus was here and so forth. I don't think they have. I don't think they have, in the sense that back in July, the president of the Resident Council / Association sent a letter to Janice George asking her to take fully into account the needs of Ingleside. In that sense, yes, it has. But in terms of the present considerations, I don't think it has. I'm representing myself, okay? I don't pretend to be representing Ingleside tonight, okay?
Right. So I would just make the small suggestion, and maybe that's something Commissioner Grunwald just to check in with Ingleside on, and obviously the transportation folks, Michaela, with respect to getting Ingleside also to state from on their letterhead their concern about the service. So that carries that weight too.
I think in the meeting of the last transportation working group, it was expressed that if you get Ingleside, you'll have to excuse me, Distaff Hall together, that would be a big, big plus. And it might actually help WMATA or the District of Columbia and Maryland and Virginia to extend the type of budget they did for one more year until perhaps Virginia comes on board in terms of dedicated funding. I would be glad to discuss that technically with anybody here later.
All right. So hearing no other questions, commissioners, I move that we adopt the resolution as amended in my second version to also include recent comments submitted by Lee Schoenecker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hand. 7-0. Thank you, commissioners. I really appreciate it. All right, and with that, Commissioner and Community Announcements, and I know, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Commissioner Sherman?
Yeah, so I'd like the commission to give thought to what else we might do in light of the imminent decision by the zoning commission to approve the Office of Planning's proposals for the Civic Core and for Upper Connecticut Avenue, not with respect to the Civic Core, but with respect to the rest of the avenue and the two different resolutions that the commission has approved and discussed with the zoning commission and with OP. If you recall, in April, we passed a resolution that was in response to OP's proposals, and we proposed an alternative of 60 feet building height, 60% lot coverage up and down the avenue, including the Civic Core site. OP took that on board at the direction of the zoning commission and did an analysis of what the consequence would be for affordable housing and housing overall. And the conclusion that OP came to was that for the Civic Core, if you reduced the proposed 80-foot OP proposed height to 60 feet, you would basically have the amount of housing, including affordable housing. And obviously, the zoning commission took that on board and said that would be an unfortunate outcome. With respect to the rest of the avenue, however, so everything except for this site, there was negligible impact on the amount of housing and affordable housing. There was impact on larger scale retail. So if you are familiar with the OP assessment, some of you who study this very closely, our proposal of 60 feet would reduce the first floor height from 18 to 14 feet. And OP looked at that and they said that that would have an impact on the kind of retail potentially that could go in on Connecticut Avenue. So hold that thought, because I want to reflect also on the fact that we have heard and we continue to hear from retail operators just adjacent to us here. And the concern, not about competition in the first instance. I know that there is a petition that the folks at Magruder's have issued regarding Total Wine going in at Friendship Heights. I'm not focused on the competition issue. I'm more focused on the prospect of increased rents for the operators, the retailers on Connecticut Avenue that could potentially force them out of business. We heard testimony on the commission, the zoning commission heard testimony from members of the community on this going back to May and their hearing and subsequent to that. So in light of those concerns and in light of what we now see manifesting itself at Friendship Heights, which is all to the good in terms of development, Total Wine, Trader Joe's and so forth going in. The question is, would we want to take into account our retailers' concerns here, taking into account also that there would be net next to no impact on the amount of housing, and once again, look at a 60-foot height restriction for the rest of the avenue. To be clear, not the Civic Core site, the rest of the avenue. Now, this is something that came up in a conversation I had with Councilmember Fruman when we just had coffee on many different subjects a few weeks ago. And I said at some point I would get back to him, and I did send him a note today raising the possibility that we could have a further conversation on this. So I'm presenting this to the commission in light of the fact that Thursday, January 30th, is the hearing by the zoning commission at which it's scheduled to act on OP's proposals. So I'm putting this out here for conversation here and to see if it is the pleasure of the commission to seek some support from Councilmember Fruman, at least have a discussion with him about this. He's mindful already of the issues because the retailers, as some of you know, have also approached him about the competition issue, but then again, the rents are also in the mix. So that's what I wanted to put on the table for the commission's consideration.
I'm sorry, it's 8:34. Are you able to provide this in writing? Because I'm sorry, I can't grasp it all right now.
Sure.
Because you said, I'm trying to
Yeah.
condense the 2 sentence part and I couldn't gather it all.
The essence of it is to have further consideration of what has been a proposal from our commission by way of our resolution in April for a 60-foot height limit on the avenue, not the civic core. That's the core part of it. And I would recognize my colleague, Commissioner Goslin, who testified along with me before the zoning commission, and we worked on these resolutions. Of course, the whole commission, the prior commission did as well. But any comments by other commissioners, and if you have any views on this, the idea would be to seek an audience with Councilmember Fruman to talk to him about this, to see, just have a conversation and see if he would be supportive of this.
Excuse me, Bruce, have a conversation with him between now and the 30th of
It
January?
would have to be immediate, yes.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Any comments, Commissioner Goslin?
I actually, I don't think we need to get into the substances here. If we're going to have a conversation with Councilmember Fruman, that's fine with me. I do think, Commissioner Sherman, I thought our resolution about this was we modified it in the second time and went to 65 feet, did we not? And we also tried to correct what I saw as a serious problem about a lot occupancy. But again, that's just the specifics. I think that dealing with this now is not the time. If we want to ask for a meeting with Fruman, I'm all for it. I'm
So I
fine with
think
it.
that's the
That's on
bottom
the table,
line.
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
So is there a
the only thing that-
resolution?
Hang on a minute, Commissioners. I think the only thing that's on the table right now is the meeting with Fruman, and the urgency of that is because the hearing is on Thursday. So is there a motion?
Would we like to have the commission vote on this measure? So I will move that we seek an audience with Councilmember Fruman to discuss this.
I'll second. Okay, and Laura, you had Commissioner Fennessy, discussion question?
Yes, just an announcement. DPR announced that it would be having another one of its Ward 3, Ward 4 project updates on February 6th. So far, when they've done these, they've given the Lafayette Pointer Park projects about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They take some questions from the chat. It's not a very engaging meeting, but people are welcome to go and attend and hear what they have to say. But in light of the some other news, which I got last week, that the DDOT Urban Forestry plans to remove 19 trees from Lafayette Pointer Park. I've asked DDOT if I could have a walkthrough with them to see what's going on with these trees, because we've lost about 15 trees over the last decade, but with the Lafayette Rec Center project, which was just finished a few years ago, there was no discussion of trees in imminent death. And I'm just kind of concerned about what's changed in the few years that we've gone from healthy trees to needing to remove 19 of them. And the city is also going to be having an erosion project on the northwest corner of the park. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be working with Commissioner Gore to get the Zoom so I can have some discussions just related to that park and my SMD.
Okay. Point of order. Don't we have a proposal on the?
We did.
Yeah, I mean, I was lost at what that was all about.
You were rolling so good, I couldn't interrupt you. You're okay. So yeah, there is a motion on the floor. Any other discussion, commissioners, on the motion? Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Abstention? One abstention. 601. Okay. Any other announcements? Community announcements, online, Cheryl Barnes.
Well, I have a question about the meeting that you're talking about, the zoning meeting for Thursday. I'm just wondering if at any time this ANC this new ANC has asked the zoning commission for a contested hearing to decide this so that the community members in Chevy Chase would actually have an opportunity to weigh in a contested hearing. They'd have a right to cross-examine and have expert witnesses. And most importantly, they would have the right to an appeal, which they don't have with the rulemaking decision. Have you all asked the zoning commission to please reconsider hearing the case as a contested hearing so that parties with standing and small business owners could actually have the right to an appeal?
No, the ANC hasn't asked for a contested case on this.
Would you consider doing that?
Between now and Thursday?
Yes, I think it's important. A lot of people in this community really want the zoning commission to do this as a contested hearing.
It might be something that we could discuss in addition to the conversation we're having with Freeman, but I can tell you this commission has not in any way, shape, or form discussed the contested case. I just don't, honestly foresee that conversation happening that quickly by Thursday.
Even in light that you weren't given proper notice in the last ANC for the set down hearing, and your official ANC survey was soundly dismissed by the zoning commission. I mean, these things really point to our community not being heard on the issue of having a contested case. And I also wanted to point out to you, and I'm happy to share it with you, if they make a final decision on Thursday, Chevy Chase Voice has to refile its lawsuit. And essentially the lawsuit is not about the decision, it's about not getting a contested case, because the law is clear on this. When there's a map amendment, it's a contested case. And that's what our lawsuit is about. So I would
So we
hope
will,
that
if we had, I don't want to belabor the point, my point, and I'm not disputing anything that you're saying, Cheryl. What I am saying is that this ANC as a body has not discussed that. And that is a tremendous discussion that we would have to have, I would think, before the community and not just amongst ourselves as well. We don't have that on the agenda. We don't have it on the agenda as a 10th. We don't have a special meeting for it.
I'd like to propose a special meeting. I'd like to move for a special meeting. Do I have a second? Anybody? Here we go.
A special meeting for
I think the community feels that it's a really important issue.
So I understand. Commissioner Nagy, you want to have a special meeting about the commission voting for to support 23 the challenge to 2325, and then we also have a special meeting with Councilmember Fruman. Wait, before Thursday too. So these two special meetings.
I would argue that we could combine them. I think that's what Commissioner Gore was sort of hinting at when she said we were going to discuss the issue with
again,
Councilmember Freeman. So I don't see why we couldn't combine them and handle them quickly and expeditiously so that we can get a result before January 30th.
We could not get an admin meeting before the 31st. So I just want to know how we now have the time to have a meeting before the 31st. Because we needed to have an admin meeting. No one could meet until January 31st, but now we're asking for people to meet before Thursday. And then my frustration is, where was this last week? I don't like having things brought up at the last minute. Bruce, if you wanted to discuss this, why wasn't this discussed on the 13th? Where was this in between the 13th and the 27th?
That's where my frustration is.
To
And
answer,
and I
answer
just-
your question, a constituent just brought this up at this
They
meeting.
did, and now has everyone calendars just vanished when we tried to have a meeting before the 31st?
Well,
Well, part of the issue also, and I know that there are exemptions for the 7-day notice requirement. There's been no community outreach on this. I mean, this is not a light subject. And we have been beat over the head as an ANC about what? Community outreach. There's no notice to the, so we expect Chevy Chase to show up in 3 days. I think we really need to think about that. And this is not something that just came up today.
And also, it's 8:45. This closes at 9 o'clock. So we need to be respectful of people that work here. We need to be respectable of people's times. Our meeting was supposed to go to 8:30. My
Yeah.
son is here. I don't want to be rude and leave, but
Cynthia, you're using up valuable time and we have someone at the
did,
podium.
did we say,
Well, each commissioner, hang on a minute, hang on, commissioners. Every commissioner has an opportunity to speak. We haven't closed out the agenda or the subject, so let's.
And I'm still here, and I wanted to just say the last thing. This has been a topic of discussion for the last year. People in the community have been crying out for a contested hearing for the last year. This is not a new topic. There has been much discussion on it, and all I'm asking is now that we have a newly constituted ANC, have you all written or asked the zoning commission for a contested hearing, which is what many, many of your constituents have been clamoring for the last year. And that's what you asked for previously. You asked the zoning commission for that previously, or at least some of you did.
Right.
That's all. Thank you.
And this commission, and I'll go back to the answer of that, this commission has not. Now, there will be people on this commission that maybe want that, and maybe people on this commission that do not want that. Nobody on this commission has asked for that. And that is a subject that this ANC would have to prep for, and we have not. Nobody has brought it up at all.
Just a point of order. Do we not have as much as I'm disturbed by this and the way it's being handled, do we not have a proposal on the
Yeah,
table that was
Yes,
seconded?
we do.
So,
We're in discussion.
okay.
So let me go to community.
Well,
I was just going to say that this is not so much a matter that you go to the community with, because it's in a way an administrative matter in which the ANC would be asking for a more democratic process that it recognizes would comport with the law. It would be asking the zoning commission to follow the rules. I don't think you really have to go to the community to ask for permission for that.
Let me go do community.
I think there's widespread misunderstanding about what a contested case process means. It's not a more democratic process. It's a process that gives special rights to people who qualify as parties to a zoning commission proceeding, which would not be most of the community. The rulemaking proceeding that the commission has chosen on advice of its lawyers who know zoning law is that a rulemaking procedure is the proper procedure for this kind of proceeding. And the rulemaking procedure puts all of us in the community on the same footing. It doesn't give special rights to Chevy Chase Voice. That's what they're complaining about. And I don't think the commission should give that the time of day. The commission has had, this commission has had a year and a half to consider whether or not to ask for a contested case in its many resolutions about the zoning proposal, and to think that in the last 3 days, after this commission has already submitted yet another resolution in December to the zoning commission, that somehow you would come up with no notice to the community, with a vote to raise a procedural issue that could have been raised a year and a half ago. That's utterly ridiculous.
Hi, I happen to attend a lot of ANC meetings, and I'm just going to say, I think the recordings would show that I remember Robert Gordon did bring up this issue at a previous meeting and ask for the ANC support for a contested case.
Right.
Just saying.
And I don't dispute that. My point is, no one has brought it up in the ANC. Go on.
This ANC is pretty new. I mean, your first meeting was January 13th, was it? Am I correct on that?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is only your second meeting as a newly constituted body. And as far as a contested case being more democratic, okay, perhaps I used the wrong word. It gives people who are most directly affected by significant changes in their living environment the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses and later possibly file an appeal. So I would say democratic may have been the wrong word, but it allows greater public participation by people most directly affected, not by Chevy Chase voice, but by people referred to colloquially as 200 footers. Thanks.
I recommend that you ask the office of the ANC what their view would be on this. I feel pretty confident that I know what their answer would be.
Thank you. Commissioner Fennessy.
Hi, yeah, I do think that it's a little bit different when we have among us, 1, 2, 3, 4 of us new to the process. And personally, I like the idea of contested hearings. I think having people have more opportunity to share. I don't necessarily know that the result would be any different, but I think giving people opportunities to speak is a good thing.
Any other commissioner comments?
Yes, I'm in favor of what Cheryl Barnes is recommending, and and what Ms. Rosen is proposing, and I do believe that the 200 footers should have the right, like everyone else in this country, to defend themselves and participate and not have their rights cut off. So I would like to have a special meeting to discuss this in time to affect a change or ask the zoning commission to take action for January 30th.
2 comments online. Jamie Butler. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go in order, and we're gonna have to make each comment 1 minute because we have to wrap this up. Cal, Michelle Wolin, then Jamie Butler, 1 minute each.
Mine is just that we used, before COVID, we used to ask every person stepping up to the mic who they were and where they lived in the community. And I just heard from 3 or 4 people step up to the mic, have no idea who they are.
I can assure you, everybody here is from the community. Michelle Wolin.
Yeah, but I don't know who said what.
That's a separate subject, Cal. Michelle Wolin.
I just put in the chat, I didn't get the date. I just quickly found it online in the Chevy Chase listserv. Peter Goslin did mention a contested hearing. You all have been aware of this. And unfortunately, I just quickly grabbed it. Assessments and recommendations. Oh, shoot, hold on. You can see it in the chat that I put in. After further consideration, the commission may independently assess such a change. I'm sorry, people keep adding to the chat and I keep losing what I have here. Can you all see it? The ANC takes notice of Chevy Chase Voice's intent to sue to have the zoning commission handle the rezoning of Upper Connecticut Avenue as a contested case rather than as a rulemaking. After further consideration, the commission may independently ask for such a change. Given the notice defects in the zoning commission's early handling of the proposed rezoning, the ANC will seek to organize a multi-commission challenge to their decision in zoning case 2225, should be 23, that limit advance notice to ANCs of proposed zoning changes. You're very aware that you were left out, that they did not follow the proper procedure. So you all were aware of the contested case thing. And I can go back and send you, email you that portion or what that listserv post said.
Yeah,
It was a
we're not
proposal.
disputing the awareness of the contested case. There was someone else, Jamie Butler.
I just want to say that we have all had opportunities to share our opinions at zoning commission meeting. No, it's not contested and you can't cross-examine people, but we all had a chance to both write testimony and appear. And many of us in the space there and online did that. So to say there was no opportunity doesn't seem quite right to me.
Okay. So I'll call for the vote. Commissioners, the motion is on the floor to have a special meeting to discuss the contested case. Was that your motion?
Before January 30th.
Before January 30th. The motion's being called. We got to get through this.
I thought there was a second.
There was. I'm trying to restate the motion so that everybody knows what they're voting on. Everybody understand what you're voting on?
Just to be clear, the notion of talking to.
That was my suggestion.
But that's part of this.
I don't know if she accepted that as a friendly amendment. That was my original suggestion was that this would be a part and parcel with the discussion with Councilmember Fruman. So we're not having two meetings and one thing I want to make sure the commission understands, we don't even know if you're going to have a quorum at this meeting. We don't know when it's going to be. And if you don't have a quorum, you cannot have the meeting. We have never discussed this. So this is not the way that we should be doing business, but since we are, I just want you guys to keep that in mind. So my suggestion was to combine them.
You asked if I accepted the friendly amendment to combine them, and I do. And I'm not so sure this isn't the way to do business.
Well, we'll talk about that afterwards. But, so the motion is on the floor, commissioners. All those in favor?
The motion on the floor is for a meeting. Yes, that's what the motion is for.
Not to allow a contested hearing.
No, to discuss.
To
discuss.
Okay, that's fine.
In conjunction with the meeting with Councilmember Fruman. Right, before January 30th. Okay? All right, all those in favor, commissioners, raise your hand. All those opposed? No abstentions, 610. Okay. And last thing is 610.
Oh, Lisa, before we go, can I do the treasurer's report?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Yep. Last item on the agenda is commission business. Commissioner Simmons, if you could do the treasurer report real quick.
Yes. So for this treasurer report is for December. So December, our bank balance was about $52,000. We received a deposit from the OANC, and then we had a couple of expenditures. One was an adjustment also from the OANC. I need to do the quarterly financial report. So I would like to request for the secretary to put in the meeting minutes from October, November, and December in the QFR portal by December 1st, so that I can complete the quarterly report that is due February 15th. Peter Goslin is going to take care of the 1099s for our contractors. I'm requesting for you to complete that by January 31st to comply with IRS laws, to have people receive their 1099s within a timely manner. And also we got to file our Form 1096 for those 1099s by February.
So I'm only responsible.
So a part of the 1099 process, you have to give them the 1099 and then you have to report the 1099 to the IRS so that the IRS know that these individuals received, were compensated for over $600. And that form is due by February 28th. If you're unable to do that, then I can do that as long as you just make sure to do the 1099 request. You can file the Form 1096 electronically or by mail. And that's all for my report.
Can I just ask for clarification? By the minutes, you mean the December 9th minutes, the January 13th minutes?
No, we need the October minutes, November minutes, December minutes. I don't have off the top of my head what meeting dates those were.
Okay.
But if you could work with Bruce to get those uploaded in the portal by the 1st, that'd be great.
Yep, I'll work with Bruce to do that.
And remaining, so on possible items for February 10th regular meeting, we have presentation and discussion and possible vote on the DC bottle bill, MOCR presentations, comprehensive plan update, Civic Core RFP update, which will be ongoing, presentation by Chevy Chase Main Street, and presentation for February 24th on lead pipe replacement project. So just commissioners, if you have any responsibility over those items, please start working with the contacts now to get the presentations and things on the agenda up and going. So the time is 9 o'clock and I call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.